I stood there, frozen, watching a cop drag him from his car, fists flying while the crowd just stared. His eyes met mine for a split second. Pleading, scared, human, I did nothing. My heart screamed to step forward to say something, anything. But my feet wouldn't move. That moment haunts me, and it's tearing me apart. Because I failed him, and I failed myself. Why didn't I act? I'm not someone who freezes. At least, I didn't think I was. Growing up in a small town outside Chicago, I was the girl who spoke up. Too loud, too bold, always ready to call out what was wrong. My mom used to say I had a fire in me, a spark that made people listen. I carried that into my 20s, into my relationship with Jake, into my job as a graphic designer where I'd fight for my ideas in boardrooms full of men. But that day, standing on that street corner, that fire went out. It was a Tuesday afternoon, warm for February, the kind of day where the sun tricks you into thinking spring's already here. I was walking to meet Jake for coffee, my phone buzzing with his texts. "You're late, babe." "Hurry up." I was distracted, scrolling through my notifications when I heard the sirens. Just a faint wail at first, then louder, closer. I looked up, and there it was, a police car, lights flashing, parked diagonally across the street. A black man, young, maybe my age, was in the driver's seat of a gray SUV. He looked normal, like someone I'd pass in the grocery store, someone I'd smile at without thinking twice. The cop was at his window, voice sharp, barking orders. "Get out of the car, now." I stopped walking, my coffee date with Jake fading into the background. Something felt off. The man in the car wasn't yelling back, wasn't aggressive. He was calm, hands visible, asking questions. "Why am I being pulled over? Can you call your supervisor?" His voice was steady, but there was an edge to it, like he was trying to keep fear from spilling out. I glanced around. A small crowd had gathered, maybe 10 people, phones out, recording. A woman with a stroller, an older guy in a baseball cap, a couple of teenagers. No one said a word. I felt my stomach twist. I wanted to move closer, to understand what was happening, but my legs felt heavy, like they were glued to the sidewalk. Jake texted again, "Where are you?" I ignored it. The cop's tone got sharper. I said, "Get out." The man didn't move, just kept asking for a reason, his hands still up. I could see his face through the window, eyes wide, searching the crowd, looking for what? Help, a witness, someone to say this wasn't right. I don't know why, but I felt like he was looking at me. My heart pounded. I thought about all the videos I'd seen online, the hashtags, the protests. I'd posted about them, shared them, felt the anger in my chest when I read about another injustice. But this wasn't a screen, this was real. I kept thinking, this isn't supposed to happen. Not in broad daylight, not on a busy street. I'd always told myself I'd be the one to step in, to speak up, like I did in high school when I called out my teacher for ignoring the girls in class. But standing there, I felt small, powerless. What could I say? What could I do? The cop was armed, his hand on his holster. What if I made it worse? Jake's voice echoed in my head, from a fight we'd had weeks before. We'd been arguing about a protest I wanted to go to. "You're too emotional about this stuff," he'd said, his voice calm but cutting. "You can't fix the world, Sarah. Just focus on us." I'd hated him for saying it, hated how it made me feel like my anger didn't matter. But now, standing there, his words clung to me. Maybe he was right. Maybe I couldn't do anything. The crowd was growing, but it was silent, like we were all holding our breath. The man in the car was still talking, still calm, but his voice was shaking now. "I just want to know why. Please." I felt a lump in my throat. I wanted to scream, answer him, but I didn't. I just stood there, my phone in my hand, not recording, not moving, not helping. I was just there. Then it happened. The cop stepped back, and another officer appeared, moving fast. Before I could process it, the second cop smashed the driver's window with his fist. Glass shattered, sparkling in the sunlight. The man in the car flinched, his hands shooting up higher, but it didn't matter. The officer reached in, grabbed him, and punched him, hard, right in the face. I gasped, my hand flying to my mouth. The crowd stayed silent, but I could feel their tension, like a wave rippling through us. The man's head snapped back, and for a moment, everything slowed down. I saw his eyes again, wide, terrified, but also resigned. Like he'd known this was coming. They yanked him out of the car, his body hitting the pavement with a sickening thud. One cop pinned him down, another landed another punch. "Stop resisting," they shouted, but he wasn't resisting. His hands were still up, his voice pleading. "I'm not doing anything." I felt sick. My knees shook, and I gripped my phone so hard my knuckles turned white. Why wasn't anyone doing anything? Why wasn't I doing anything? I kept thinking about all the times I'd told myself I was brave, how I'd promised myself I'd never be a bystander. But here I was, standing there, silent, just like everyone else. The man's voice broke through again. "Please, I just want to know why." It was desperate now, raw, like he was begging for someone to see him as human. I felt tears prick my eyes. I wanted to run forward, to yell at the cops, to demand they stop. But fear glued me to the spot. What if they turned on me? What if I got hurt? What if Jake was right, and I was just being emotional, sticking my nose where it didn't belong? I looked at the crowd again. The woman with the stroller was backing away, her face pale. The teenagers were still filming, their faces blank, like they were watching a movie. The older guy in the cap muttered something under his breath, but he didn't move. No one did. We were all complicit in our silence, and I hated myself for it.